everybody. Welcome to the podcast. It may interest you to know. I'm Tony Marcolini. I'm joined by my co-host, Seamus McDonough. And our special guest today is a musician. You probably have heard some of his songs, I think, with his prior band, but he's beginning a solo act now. So we're happy to welcome Matt Priscilla to the show. Welcome, Matt.
Hello, everybody. How is everybody doing today?
Good. Well, we're good. I'll tell you, Seamus and I talked about this. We were excited to have you on. I think you're at the beginning of what's going to be an amazing career in music.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Certainly, I've been a fan back from when you started out with Drop the Act, right? That was the name of your first band. Well, I think it was your first band. It could have been a second or third. I don't know. Was that the first band you were ever in?
It was my first band. First time I ever performed in front of a live crowd was with that band. So they were like the first everything pretty much for me. So, and I stuck with them for about 8 years. We were together. We were a band for 8 years. So, yep, just one.
Yeah. Were you now, let me take you back to the beginning. Are you trained from a young age to play instruments? Were you taking lessons when you were young?
So I play guitar, but I'm not exactly the best guitar player. I focus more primarily on, writing lyrics and melodies and vocals and stuff like that. Now the past few years, I've been doing a lot of production work. So I do a lot of working in Logic Pro X, which is like just a recording program, recording and mixing and mastering and stuff like that. So I'm just getting started with that end of things. But I never had any formal training. I did have some guitar lessons when I was younger. Didn't last very long because I was young and naive and I was always easily distracted. So I just would skip my lessons all the time. So don't do that. If you're taking guitar lessons, stick with them or you won't get better. So, but yeah, so I never really had any formal training. I just kind of always had a natural inclination, to music as a young kid. And I just kind of stuck, with that interest, throughout high school and fell into a band, and then that was it.
Now, I know you wrote a lot of the material for your band. I'm sure you did covers as well, but I think you did a lot of original material. Did you write words and music, and were you one-man band for that, or did you write with a partner?
With the band, so the band was actually a pretty equal effort amongst all the members. I mean, there was 5 of us. And collectively, we would all contribute, writing parts, primarily my position in that band was writing the lyrics and the melodies and stuff. There were a few songs where I contributed to the musical aspect of it, coming up with just basic chord progressions and things like that to come up with song ideas. But the guys that I was in the band with, they played their instruments for 10 plus years longer than I have. So they kind of would take lead in that area, but everybody contributed equally, and we all kind of played our own little part, for that band. So it was great.
So you're from the writer poet genre, really, huh?
Yeah. I'm more of I'm a guy that likes to use wordplay, and I'm a big fan of melodies. So melodies have always been something that have come naturally to me. If I hear a chord progression or if I hear something, my brain's automatically going to what the lyrics would sound like and what the melody would sound like, and that's just how my brain functions. So
beautiful. We have a similar brain. I like to write screenplays and poetry and short stories. So, but no music yet. For me.
Hey, you can incorporate music to any type of poem if you wanted to. So you're almost there.
Wow.
Well, I think I first became familiar with your work with Drop the Act because you had that very popular song that really landed, I think, Friend Zoned.
Yeah.
You did a fantastic music video for that. Professional, and I think it just blasts you onto the music scene. I mean, prior to that, I think you were going around playing around, but I think when that song came out, you got an enormous amount of attention.
Yeah. So that song definitely changed the course of the entire band's music career. We were never a band, obviously, that was touring the whole country or the world, but that song definitely put us on the map regionally, and it opened up so many doors for us to play festivals, shows, made us so many new fans, and people were coming out to our shows a lot more frequently after that song came out. We ended up playing Warped Tour, which was awesome because after that song dropped, we had so many supporters at the time. You know, we got voted on to play Warped Tour, which was incredible. So yeah, it definitely changed the course of a lot of things, and we didn't expect it either. It was kind of like you know, we didn't know what to expect. It was our first music video, you know, and it was well received. So we were very happy about that.
Now, how nerve-wracking was the decision to go solo?
Oh, it's a lot different. It is a lot different. Anybody that comes from like a band background like myself and, you know, takes a different direction and starts to go solo, they'll probably tell you the same thing, that it's a whole world. It's a whole different world. It's just, you're doing a lot more on your own. It is stressful, you know, but it is awesome in the sense that, you know, being solo, you can kind of experiment a little bit more freely. Not saying that like I was restricted in the band or anything like that. You know, we had a specific sound that we were all going for, you know, which was pop punk. But at least being solo, you know, you could switch up genres, you know, every song if you wanted to. You know, there's a level of freedom that comes with it, which I really do enjoy. But it is a little bit stressful because, you know, you're not stepping out into the public eye with 4 or 5 other guys behind you. And it makes it a little bit easier when you got a crew around you doing the same thing, because it's like, okay, well, you know, if I embarrass myself, you know, we're all 4 going down. You know what I mean? You have that mentality where it's like, all right, it's not so bad because, you know, I got 4 or 5 guys with me. Now it's like, okay, well, if I do something embarrassing, it's all on me, you know? But
the cheese stands alone.
what's that?
The cheese stands alone.
Oh yeah. It's a lot more pressure, but I mean, I enjoy it. I mean, I have a lot of friends in the music industry that have been behind me during this transition, and that's made it easy. You know, I currently live in Nashville, Tennessee, and my roommate, Luke Oxendale, he's produced a lot of my singles coming out as a solo artist. And he's kind of been somebody that's been directing me, you know, in the right direction, kind of guiding me, you know, telling me, you know, things that I need to do or should be doing. And I've had a really good support group. So it doesn't feel like I'm alone, you know, until you like start putting out the songs. And then it's like, oh man, you know, a little nerve wracking, but I enjoy it.
So he's like a mentor, huh?
Yeah, you know what, and I have a handful of mentors that are also my friends, you know. We're all around the same age. Some are older, but a lot of them have been involved in production and music and stuff like that since they were like 14, 15 years old. So they've been at it for 10, 12 plus years. You know, these guys know what they're talking about. But I have a nice network down in Nashville of friends and people that are very supportive of what I'm trying to do. And we kind of help each other out. It's great.
I relate completely. I mean, my thing was I was a professional boxer, and you're basically you're as good as your mentor or your trainer. And
yeah.
But with the team sports, it's like going, because there's never any, you know, unless you're in a big brawl somewhere. But boxing, like, you're solitary, you know, and it's all relying on you, and all the eyes are on you, and all the responsibility is yours. So I relate completely. That's it's quite a movement from being in the band for you.
Oh yeah, it's a huge movement. But like you said, like, you're as good as your mentor, and you're as good as your crew that trains you. You know what I mean? So it's a team. It's still a team effort. You know, people think that solo means, you know, you're doing every single thing on your own, and there are a lot of artists out there that are doing that. But it is very helpful when you have a supportive team and an experienced team around you to really push you to that next level. So, yeah.
So genre, what would you say your focus is now?
That's a good question. So I started off the first 3 or 4, I would say, releases that I put out over the past, you know, year and a half, couple of years have been geared towards the more pop electronic sound, like just like a modern, you know, radio pop kind of. But I'm leaning heavily towards R&B, you know, now. So it's kind of like where my root. Yeah, that's kind of like where my roots come from. And it's funny when I tell people that, because you know, I was in a pop punk band for so many years. But when I was like younger, throughout high school, middle school, high school, you know, even to this day, I never kind of stopped. But I was very influenced by like early 2000s, late 90s R&B artists and stuff like that. So over the course of the next year or two, you'll probably see me delving into that, like that genre a lot more, a little more R&B, but I'm going to still keep the pop elements in it as well. So.
Tell us what the creative process looks like for you. I like to ask everyone who's on, like, how do you write? I mean, do you need to, the songs come to you when you're in the shower? Do you need to walk the dog? Do you
Yeah.
meditate? I mean, what does that look like?
Yeah, my brain never lets me rest when it comes to that kind of stuff. I mean, I could be doing the most mundane, task or, activity. And I think of random things. I hear things, if I'm watching TV and I hear somebody say a certain line or phrase and it sticks out to me, I'm like, oh, that kind of could be used in like a chorus. Like I like the sound of that. Like that sounds cool. Or if I'm listening to music on Spotify or, watching a movie trailer or something and I hear a specific piece of music that inspires me, I instantly go to, okay, well, what would my version of this song be? And I try to draw inspiration from just everyday life pretty much, not just experiences, but just like activities that I'm taking place. And like, if I'm watching movies, like I said, that have, cool soundtracks or I'm out, and I hear somebody playing music down the road, like, my brain's just constantly searching for, melody. It's constantly searching for, sounds and stuff that would be cool in a song, if that makes sense.
Yeah, do you keep?
Sense, yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Tony.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I was thinking of Matthew Dix, right? He's an author who was on the podcast, and he literally had the library on his phone. Every time an idea passed his way, that he thought, "Oh, that would be really interesting," or it was something that struck him. He put it into his phone, so he had this library of, I guess, stories waiting to be told. Do you do something like that? Do you keep like a library on your phone of?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I do. So I actually I have a thing on my phone. It's called Voice Recorder. It's just like a basic audio voice recording app that anybody can download. But it's just filled with an insane amount of, voice memos of me just mumbling a lyric or a melody. I could be like in the airport, and I'll like think of something and I'll pull out my phone and just kind of like try to discreetly mumble it into my phone so I don't look like a weirdo singing into my phone. But yeah, I do that a lot. My computer actually ran out of hard drive space because I have so many unfinished song ideas or just little ideas, like whether there's, pieces of a chorus or just like a little chord progression or something like that. But I do keep track of all of that stuff. And I probably have more ideas like that than I actually do on like actually finished songs. So like my whole hard drive on my computer is just a bunch of projects, that are unfinished, but they're just raw ideas that, can later be turned into a song. So
I use the same, sorry, Tony. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. No, you go.
Okay. I use the same app to Matt. I have Voice Recorder. Mine is almost full also. The hard drive is almost full.
Yeah. It fills up fast, I mean, like, yeah, I'm probably using it every day. I mean, probably every single day. And then also, I'll use it to save song demos and stuff like that. So like whenever I'm working on something, I'll email the song to myself so that I can, I'm laying in bed or something or laying on the couch, I could listen to it and kind of dissect like what I've created so I could, come up with other ideas and stuff and what I can incorporate.
Another idea is to send yourself an email.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do that a lot too. Yeah, I'm all over the place. I'll text stuff to myself to make sure I have notes, I'll have notes in my phone, voice recorder, email. I mean, I got ideas all over the place. It's probably not good. I should probably get more organized, but that's just how my brain works,
Me too.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first time you walked out onto a stage?
I do, like it was yesterday, and I was terrified, and it was good. The show was good. I mean, it was our first show ever. It was with Drop the Act. It was January 13th, 2013. I'm pretty sure because we formed in October of 2012 and our first show was in January, like the following year. So we played at Old Princeton, which one of our music videos from the old band, Stay Close, was shot at that venue for that reason, because we played our first show there and we thought it would be cool later on, like down the road, to actually shoot a music video there to kind of like pay tribute to the place. So, but yeah, we played there. There was probably about, I don't know, maybe like 100 people, which at the time was a lot for like a venue like that, for like a local band. Like that's a lot of people. There was a band called Squid the Whale that was from Michigan, and they were a very up and coming good act at the time. And they were the headliners, so they drew a decent amount of people out. And I remember we played probably 2 or 3 covers and then some originals, and I was stiff as a board for the first probably 2 or 3 songs. You know, I vocal performance was maybe a little shaky, but it was okay. But I was nervous. I mean, I got through it, but I was nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit here and be one of them guys that's like, oh, I don't get nervous. I still get nervous. I would still get nervous today, probably. So
I would think some of that stage fright, and Seamus, you probably relate to this too. There's a bit of stage fright. I would think that propels your performance to the next level too.
Sometimes. It's good to get nervous before, as you know, not good to get nervous beforehand, because you're going to get nervous. So you don't want all to hit you on stage. So to start dealing with it beforehand is better. And that way you're prepared.
Oh yeah. I've definitely tried, breathing exercises, all that good stuff. I do more. I matured more in that area as the band kind of grew over the years. Early on in the band's career, I didn't know how to handle that. So I wasn't preparing, I guess you could say, for that. I was just kind of in my head a lot before shows. Wasn't doing breathing exercises, wasn't doing proper vocal warm-ups, just because I was too in my head about the performance itself. But I got better with that over the years, just like anything else. Once you do something so many times, you still get nervous. And I think getting nervous is a good thing to a certain degree, because I feel like it kind of keeps you on your toes a little bit, but then if you let that control your thoughts, that's when it gets kind of a little bit, negative. But yeah, I got better with that over the years, but still to this day, I mean, I've played so many shows with the band and stuff, and I still feel like when I get on stage again in the future, I'm going to feel the same way. So.
And there must be some times where it just hits perfection and the flow, and it's just, everything's just perfect. That must happen. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. And then, once you kind of get on stage and you get through that initial, I mean, I guess it might be the equivalent to like getting in the ring. Once you get hit one time, you're like, okay, like, let's go now. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're in there, your instincts kind of pick up, and you kind of like just let your training take over. And it's kind of like that with music. It's like once you get the first initial song maybe out of the way, and you kind of get a feel for the crowd's reaction, and you kind of feed off that energy, the nerves kind of settle down, and then you get into a flow state where it's kind of like, this is good. Like, I'm fine now.
So tell me about the worst time you've ever been on stage.
Oh, which one? which one? Because there
where you got booed, or somebody fell off the stage. It's always a good story.
I mean, we've never got like booed to the point where like we needed to quit and get off stage. I mean, I'm sure at some point we played a show where a few guys in the crowd have maybe yelled out some not so pleasant comments. I mean, that's anywhere you go, especially when you're a band that's playing bar shows and there's guys out there drinking. And we've played shows where we would be with metal bands, like heavy metal, like head banging bands, and we were like a pop punk band that was singing about being friend zoned, like we weren't like this scary looking sounding metal band. And we've ended up on shows where that's the whole crowd wanted to just see metal bands. But specifically, going back to your original question, like, it's a specific time. It's probably down to two different shows, and I'll bring them both up because they equally were both horrifying. But one, we drove 2 hours one time to somebody's birthday party, and it was Halloween themed. And we didn't know any of the other bands that were on the show. We didn't know the type of crowd or the kids that were going to be at the show, but we decided to play it because we were kind of friends with the girl at the time. So we drove like 2 hours to this venue, and the venue wasn't horrible, but we were playing kind of like on the floor and stuff. And when we got there, we realized it was a complete metal show. As I was just saying, it was a complete metal show. Like everybody that was there was like metalhead. Like if it wasn't metal being played, they were not interested. And I remember we went up to play, And I just remember looking out at the few kids that actually did stand in front of where we were playing, and they just looked miserable. And it was horrible because we had to play like 7 songs and there was no life there whatsoever. Like, I'm just thinking my whole time in my head, like, I can't wait for this to be over. Like, you know, I was just going through the motions at one point. I was like, this is not good. You know, kids were making comments and stuff. And I'm like, hey, this is not the show for us. You know, we should not be playing this show. And then there was another time where we played a festival. I can't remember exactly where it was at, but we had so many technical difficulties that the person that was running the audio stopped the show mid-show and told us just to get off stage. Like, one of our guitarists was playing, and like he accidentally unplugged one of his guitars, and then that messed it up. And then somebody else tripped over something and knocked a piece of equipment over. And this is all transpiring within like 2 songs of each other. And eventually the guy just got on the mic and was just like, yeah, you guys are done. And it was embarrassing because we were playing in front of a decent amount of people. We're like, oh, sorry guys, you know, technical difficulties. But Fortunately, we haven't had too many like terrible experiences, but those do stick out to me when I think about it, because I was cringing for a while. So
of course, the growing pains of that, right? Everybody has those experiences, you know,
yeah,
the time, especially in the early days, I think even more so. And that always leaves an impact. I remember actually asking another musician what was his most memorable time on stage. He told me he proposed to his wife on stage. So do you have a most memorable moment of performing?
Yes, and it's so funny that you brought up proposal, because one of the most memorable moments, besides like playing Warped Tour, which I guess everybody in the band would say like that was our like peak moment. But there was this kid, actually I'm just gonna call him Eric Aiken. If you see this, love you, man. But he proposed to the girl he was dating at the time at one of our shows to one of our songs. He came up to me personally and asked me that if he could propose to his girlfriend during a specific song during our set. I think it was Stay Close. And while we were playing the song and I was singing it, he got down on one knee in front of her, in front of the band, in front of everybody, and proposed. So that was cool. So I thought that was a pretty cool, memorable moment. So it's funny that you brought up the proposal thing, because that actually happened at a Drop the Axe show. So,
did she say yes?
She did. She did. Now I don't think it turned out very well, unfortunately. But he's way better off now, I'm sure. But at the time, yeah, I mean, at the time it was a very sweet moment. So
beautiful.
Now talk to us about your present career, your solo career. Tell me what's going on. I mean, you just released a new single. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I just dropped a music video about 10 days ago, and it's called Red Flags. And then previously this summer in June, I had dropped another music video called Waves with a friend of mine, Dante Jordan, he's a rapper, singer-rapper from the Pittsburgh area. So I've been putting out music videos. I have a bunch of material that I've been kind of lining up for 2022. So this coming year, I plan on dropping a lot of music. I'll be working a lot out of the Nashville area. Right now I'm in Pennsylvania visiting my family. But yeah, so I have a lot of stuff coming up, some singles, no projects at the moment, no albums particularly, just because the way the industry is kind of right now, it just seems more efficient to put out singles rather than albums as a new artist. It's just like a popular new marketing strategy that a lot of artists are kind of hopping on board with it nowadays. But eventually I would like to put out a project, hopefully by the end of 2022.
Well, and COVID, I would think, has significantly impact your ability to tour and play out as well.
Yeah. So I haven't played any live shows with my new material yet, primarily because I haven't had the amount of material that I would like to have before I start playing shows. Like when the band started playing shows, we had like at least a full EP album. It was a whole body of work that we were able to showcase. But right now I'm kind of just, putting out singles, and I think I only have like 4 or 5 right now, which is getting close to, being able to put on a live set. But I think I kind of took a step back from the live aspect of things, especially because of COVID. You really had no choice as a musician but to just kind of focus on producing music and just putting it out, for people to listen to. But I don't have any plans soon to perform, but I would like to get into that next year at some point. So I would love to perform here soon. So
Red Flags, that's a song about red flags in a relationship, right? I mean,
yeah,
all the things that tell you ahead of time, watch danger ahead.
yeah. Yeah, so the song I wrote the song and recorded it last October actually, and the video didn't get shot until May of this year. So this is like a project that's kind of like been on standby for a while, and to me it's an older song. Obviously now it's one of my newer songs that I put out, and it's new to everybody else. But to me in my catalog, it's one of the older ones that I've been kind of sitting on for a little over a year. But I've been wanting to put it out. So the song, it's about red flags in a relationship, more primarily geared towards like the beginning stages of a relationship when you're kind of first meeting somebody before you kind of dive into that commitment. I've personally had too many experiences where I looked past some pretty obvious red flags because I thought, maybe this person will change, or maybe this person doesn't mean, what I think they mean. And, things just turned out very badly. So I said, you know what, let me write a song about it. So that's what that's about.
It's a wonderful thing to do about our problems, is to write about it, write a song about it. Wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. I like to draw from personal experiences. I with the band and stuff, we had a lot of fun writing songs. There were some songs where we just kind of made up scenarios, to be completely honest, just because we thought it would make for a good song. But and I still do that from time to time, but like a lot of the stuff that I write, I like to draw from personal experience. It just comes more naturally to me, and it feels a little more authentic. So, it's not forced. But yeah, I actually did go through a situation previous to writing that song that inspired it kind of. So yeah.
I suspected so. When I first listened to the video, I think it's very well written, and I think there's a certain depth to it that made me feel like you were drawing from experience as opposed to putting lyrics together. And I guess some of that comes with age too, right? The more we live, the more.
It's funny. It's because I love how you said that, because there was a time frame in my life where I guess I had writer's block, you can say, or I was uninspired. Because I was too cooped up and I was burning myself out trying to write so many different songs and producing songs, that I would just stay in my room for 10, 12 plus hours a day and then just go to sleep, wake up, and pretty much do it all over again. And that went on for a decent amount of time. And what I ended up realizing is that I was burning myself out mentally, and I wasn't coming up with good ideas for songs because I wasn't living. I was just sitting in my room, and I was just trying to, pump out as many songs as possible. And to any artist out there that, gets in that headspace, and I know most of them do, because you'll constantly have this pressure of producing content at a fast rate because of how social media is nowadays. You have to constantly keep up with trends and things of that nature. So it's a lot of pressure. And I kind of stopped living, I guess you could say, for a while, because I was too caught up with, the creation process. But then I realized that I wasn't creating anything, of any substance, because I wasn't experiencing anything, I wasn't pulling from, a real experience that could be relatable to somebody else. I was just kind of, regurgitating the same stuff over and over again. So it's important to go out there and live. It's important to have experiences. That doesn't mean you're lazy. It doesn't mean you're not motivated. You're not working hard towards your dreams. It's okay to go out with friends. It's okay to do, certain things and stuff, because that's how, inspiration comes, just by living. So.
Agreed. So now, are you still friends with the members of the band?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we are really good friends. I live in Nashville now, so it's like I don't see them as much anymore. But the twins in the band, Josh Hoffman and Jacob Hoffman, are both engaged now. So if you guys watch this, congrats, guys.
Congratulations.
They're engaged. I'm actually going to be in Josh's wedding. He played bass for Drop the Axe, so I think the wedding's set for like next year or maybe 2 years from now. But he asked me to be in his wedding, so I'm going to be in his wedding, which is awesome. And we're very, very close. We're so very close. We love each other like brothers,
I guess that'll always be there.
Oh yeah, yeah. We experienced, you know, a really cool thing with that band, and we all shared the same experiences. And even though it didn't work out the way we really wanted it to work out, you know, everything happens for a reason. I believe that, and everybody's doing their own thing right now, and everybody seems happy. So,
Was it
Wow.
hard? Go ahead, Seamus. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Tony. You go. We'll go with that question, please.
No, I was just going to say, how hard was it to make that final decision?
yeah, it was emotional. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I think we all were kind of emotional about it. I'm sure a few of us cried. You know, I'm not gonna say who. You know, maybe me once a little bit, but no, it was seriously though. It was emotional. It was just there. It was coming to a point where, you know, there was no bad blood. There was no bad blood. But obviously, like any other group of guys that stick together for so many years, you know, you're going to butt heads a little bit. I mean, you know, people butt heads with their brothers and their sisters and stuff. You know, you spend so much time with people, eventually you butt heads. But that wasn't necessarily the reason why we decided to disband. It was primarily because I think we all kind of had a different vision for what we wanted our future in music to look like, and that's completely okay. And that's probably the main reason why most, you know, bands and groups disband. I kind of wanted to go a little bit of a different route sonically. Like I wanted to try different types of music out and sounds. But the type of music that I wanted to do probably wasn't fitting into, you know, the drop the act criteria, like what people would expect us to write. A couple of the other guys kind of wanted to just stay locally and play. And then a couple of the other guys wanted to actually tour and go do stuff. And it was kind of just like one of those things where we couldn't come to a
Consensus.
yeah, like a unified vision where it's like, okay, we all have the same goal in hand. So we kind of just decided like, hey, you know, maybe it's best that we just take a step back from this, because it was kind of taking a toll financially a little bit. You know, anybody that's ever played in a band or has done music, you know, it's an industry where it costs money to make money. You know, it sucks, but it does. So yeah, it was finances were a little bit of part of it, but I think the primary thing was just the fact that we all wanted to do something different. And we just ultimately decided that we were just going to go our separate ways and see what happens. But we might play a reunion show one day in the future. Who knows?
So when you're on stage, it's just you on the stage, or do you have a backing band, or?
What's that for the Drop the Act?
Yeah, no, for your performances.
Yeah, so whenever I haven't performed yet as a solo artist, but I mean, it is something that I have been kind of planning in the background, you know, slowly but surely. I don't know when my first show will be. Hopefully, maybe next year, sometime in 2022. But yeah, I would probably have a backing band. Like I said, I have an incredible team and support group of friends in Nashville that they're all, you know, diverse musicians. They play multiple instruments. They do different things. And if I ever needed a supporting band, I know I could put together 3 or 4 guys that could easily do that for me. So
you remind me, I have a very good friend, David Keenan. Have you heard of him?
I have not.
Yeah, he's a singer-songwriter from Ireland. I'm from Ireland also. You probably guessed that.
Awesome, yes.
I was guessing I was kind of a mentor to him for a while. I have no experience in music at all, but just as a friend, being a mentor. And we went to New York one time to see his band playing, and they were going through some rough stuff, because everyone does, you know. And I just shared my experience with them from boxing. My boxing experience with the band was great. It was a really a highlight of my life, and they actually invited me on stage in the end to sing a song with them.
There you go.
So I was up there one time, you know, and it's thrilling. It's really, really it's quite an experience. Yeah.
It is. I actually, so I performed in Nashville, not one of my own songs. I worked with a guy that played in like a cover band that would play at the bars downtown. And similar situation, he kind of drugged me up on stage and asked me to sing a cover song with him. And I did. And I was you would have thought I didn't have any experience at all. I was so nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in Nashville singing in front of a bunch of random people, you know, and it's exhilarating. It definitely gets the adrenaline going. So if you're an adrenaline junkie, you know, the stage might be the place for you, you know, but I definitely was feeling it.
Wow.
You draw a lot of energy from a crowd. I think performers who love the stage in general, theater, or singers, and the things I've heard is that they pull a lot of the energy that comes from the crowd to, into their performance.
Oh yeah, the crowd is a huge. I'm a firm believer. I mean, like you can have a solid set, but there's nothing like a solid set when the crowd is feeding into that energy. You can play all the right notes, you can sing your best, but there's nothing like a performance in front of a crowd that's matching your energy. It kind of just brings you to the next level, and I think like that crosses all entertainment and sports, like, and everything. Like when you have a crowd or an audience that's watching you and you're doing, you're performing or whatever, and they're getting into it, they're yelling, you can see their facial expressions and stuff like that. It kind of brings you to this, supernatural like state where you almost feel like you're in this like dream state. Sometimes almost it feels like you black out, honestly. And I've said that so many times on stage that people are like, what do you mean? But there's been shows where we've played where it's like, they're so intense, high intensity, and the crowd's in it, and all the guys are in it, that like when it's over, you kind of look back and you're like, it was so fast. Like it almost feels like a dream, like you just blacked out and you just went through the motions, So yeah, crowd participation is huge, especially for the performance of the artist too.
And there's basically in those kind of situations, there's no like evolutionary incentive to remain calm in these new situations. They're like new and exciting, and we're not really trained for them, really. Everything else we've practiced over and over again. I'm also 25 years sober, so I looked a lot at why I do what I do and all that stuff. And
awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And so there is no, as I said, evolutionary incentive to remain calm. But practice does help, practice over and over and over. And so I commend you. It's amazing.
Yeah. It takes a lot of practice to prep for something like that. And even, you can prep every single day, nothing truly prepares you for the real thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can get yourself to a point where it's, you can harness it and maintain it and remain, calm. But nothing really prepares you for the actual thing. Because once you hit that stage and everybody's kind of staring at you, you're like, okay, well, here we go.
So 10 years from now, who do you see yourself as? Like who will Matt be in 10 years, you think?
Oh man, this question is always giving me anxiety. Yeah, in a good way. It's fine. I'm the type of person that I change frequently. And then when I mean change, I don't mean like my personality changes per se, or my beliefs and stuff change per se, but they do. Everybody evolves spiritually, mentally, physically. And from year to year, I feel like a different person every year. So it's kind of hard for me to gauge who I would be in 10 years, even 5 years, honestly. What I would say my hopes would be is that hopefully in 10 years, I'm doing music full time. However that, manifests, however that, happens or transpires. I don't know, but I would love to be doing music full time and, be helping other people along the way with music and things of that nature. So that's, I can tell you what I would want to be doing, but as far as like who I'm going to be, I don't know. I have no idea. Hopefully somebody good.
Who does Matt listen to?
I listen to a lot of different stuff. I mean, I try to keep up with like the newest stuff out just because, I think that's so important. So I listen to, young artists, like there's an artist, his name is Breakins. I just really love his production style because it's different and it's new. Some people don't like it. I like it because it's different. I listen to Nothing Nowhere is another artist. He's kind of like a pop punk hip hop artist, which is cool because he kind of blends the two genres that my backgrounds come from, like R&B, hip hop with pop punk, which is awesome. So I listen to a lot of Nothing Nowhere. I still listen to a lot of the artists that I used to listen to growing up, like Drake, like the rapper, you know. I would have to say I listen to Porter Robinson. He's an electronic artist that he does like EDM stuff. So I'm all over the board with music genres, you know.
Eclectic, very eclectic tastes.
Yeah, if it sounds good and I can connect with it, I mean, the biggest thing is connecting with it. If I can connect with it, I like it. You know, there's even country songs that I really like. Now, I'm not the biggest country guy, and that's funny because, like, you know, I'm doing music in Nashville.
Yeah.
But that's not where my roots really come from. But I do like guys like, you know, Sam Hunt, Mitchell Tenpenny, the guys like that. You know, I listen to a lot of their stuff. Traditional, like Rascal Flatts. I still like Rascal Flatts. So yeah, I'm all over the place, and I think it's important to be open to a lot of different type of music, especially as an artist.
If you weren't a musician, what would you be?
I don't know. That, yeah, people ask me that. It's hard for my brain to compute that, you know. I've always been a person that's like, since a very, very young age, I kind of like had like just I don't want to say gut feeling, but I just always knew what I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. I mean, from like the age of 2 and 3, I was like performing with microphones in front of like family get-togethers and gatherings. So like before I
love
even,
that.
yeah, and like when I was young, like, and my mom would tell me stories like whenever she was pregnant with me. The only time I would kick and move is when she would put like, you know, headphones up to her stomach and play music for me. And when I was like 1 to 2 years old, you know, Michael Jackson was, you know, big at the time. And I would watch his performances on TV at like 2 years old, and I would stand in front of the TV and dance and stuff. So like, for me, it's like, yeah, for me, music has always been the thing. So like, I don't really know who I would be. I guess I love cinema. So like, if someone said you have to pick something else, I would maybe try to go the route of like acting and like, you know, movies and stuff like that.
Yeah, creativity. Whether you're creating a character or you're creating music,
Yeah,
or
story, just creating and entertaining by telling stories and stuff. So if someone came down right now and was like, hey, we're taking music out of your life, you have no choice, what else do you want to do? I'd probably have to go that route because it's still in the same category as far as like entertaining and stuff. So probably
maybe we get you to act in one of our projects.
Oh, I would love to. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I was the Scarecrow in the lead role in my high school play, you know? So I got footage. I could send it in as my my portfolio, you know? But,
love that.
Yeah.
Well, you're a storyteller by heart, right? And I think, you know what? I think acting is one of the most underrated. I mean, acting, it's performing, entertainment in general. I think it's very underrated as a profession. I say this, I used to say all the time, I thought the matrimonial bar was underrated. Of all the types of attorneys you can be, honestly, the attorneys who do the family work, they're very underrated and underappreciated because, you know, you're in court every day when you're practicing family law, and, you know, you're handling multiple cases. No one's happy. You're seeing people through the absolute worst time in their lives. There's a lot of anger, and it's a rough area to practice. And the matrimonial bar are on their feet, arguing cases all the time. You want somebody who knows the rules of court and the rules of evidence, ask a matrimonial attorney. But they're very underrated. And I feel like people don't appreciate the value to entertainment as much as they should as well, because we all need that. We all have experienced bad days and low moments in our life where it made a difference to put a song on, right? Or it made a difference to put a TV show on where it got us through, almost like holding your hand, but it sucked you into something, you know, a book, it sucked you into some other world, something that made it better for you for a while. And you can't put a price on that.
No, and it's funny you said that as well, because I was just having this conversation with my parents last night. You know, I'm not against, you know, taking a different route professionally if I need to, you know, to survive and make ends meet and everything. But like, I truly support and believe in creatives that are trying to do what they do for a living, because it's, you know, it is overlooked in society a little bit. because there aren't a lot of, quote unquote jobs in that area. People kind of have this notion where it's like you can't be successful unless, you're this big, huge star, and that's not the case at all. And sometimes people talk down on creative jobs. Not anybody I know, because everybody that I know is super supportive of what I do and everything. But there are people out there that have this mentality where, it's not going to make you money. It's not a career, it's a hobby. And for a lot of people, especially like myself, it's, a hobby is something that you do, a couple times a week, because it just takes your mind off things, But for me, it's like it's incorporated into my everyday life. Like I'm constantly trying to progress and get better at what I do. So for me, it's a passion. And for everybody else that, is a creative, it's a passion, and it's a part of who they are. It's important not to identify as just one thing, because, as a human being, I feel like there's many different aspects that people, you can't just identify as one thing, but it is a large part of, a creative's life, like whatever they do. And like you said, without creatives, this world would be, a very bland place. There'd be no music and movies, and the music and movies is what, brings out the emotion. You know what I mean? Like that's how something, scary is going to happen, or something sad just happened. It kind of draws you in emotionally. And then like artists that paint and stuff like that, like we wouldn't have, beautiful pieces of art to decorate our houses with, and things like that if we didn't have somebody that, pursued their passion as a creative. So yeah, it is overlooked, and I fully support anybody that wants to try to do it as a living. So
yeah, thank you, and thanks for entertaining us.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it.
So the Greeks say that the purpose of art is to make us emote. So thank you. And
feel.
that's
Just to
Hey,
feel.
and hey, boxing is entertaining as well. So
yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome.
So where can people find your music?
So you can find my music on Spotify, Apple Music. You want to watch any of the videos, they're on YouTube. I also have a website. It's just mattpriscilla.com. So you can find some of the links there. But if you're looking to get straight to this music, Spotify is where all of my uploads and stuff are. I have my covers on there. I have my original music on there. So Spotify and Apple Music is where you can check me out. And Instagram too. I upload stuff on Instagram and TikTok every once in a while. Especially TikTok. I do a lot of unreleased material on there. I kind of use that platform to test the waters with like new song ideas, because that's kind of like how the platform is working right now. A lot of artists are, putting clips of unreleased demos and songs out there to kind of see how the general public reacts to it. And then that kind of makes them decide whether or not they want to put the song out. So I've been doing that a lot too. So if you want to hear some unreleased stuff, check out my TikTok. I also do, funny, stupid skits on there, but that's just for fun.
Can't wait.
Okay, so we're going to put up the links for the new video, for his new song, and for his website in the description. It's really been a pleasure to talk to you. I hope you'll come back again.
Absolutely. I would love for you guys to have me back again. Thank you so much. This was awesome. And it was great talking to you guys, and can't thank you guys enough for believing in the band back in the, back years ago, and still sticking with me to this day. So I just really appreciate that.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
we had a project, right? Seamus, Surviving Sam. We had this project.
Yes.
And your song was a key. The Friend Zone was a key song used in the show. Yeah,
that was very exciting for us. That was awesome, and you guys really you made a big impact on us. Asking us to be a part of that. So I can't thank you guys enough. So.
Oh well, you're a talented group. Yeah.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks for being here in person with us or virtually.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to say goodbye, but we hope we'll have Matt back again, and we'll follow his career as it continues to progress. I see great things. This is a very talented young man, so we're excited that we got to interview him on this end. I have a feeling that we'll have an interview later on after he's gotten his first #1 song. So,
oh man, I hope so. That would be awesome. That should be the goal. I hope.
I hope so too.
And
awesome.
The links will be in the bottom. We're going to say goodbye and sign off for the podcast. So have a great day, everybody.
Have a great day.